One day, I'll figure out how to start these videos, but for now, we have these awkward intros to look forward to. So, nice weather today? Huh? Titanic Llama here, and in this video, I intend to cover anything pertaining to World 1 that I left out of the first episode in this guide, which if you haven't watched yet, go and check it out after this video. Anywho, in no particular order, I plan to go over statues, stamps, star signs, cards, the World 1 party dungeon, and I'll have a miscellaneous section at the end for any other random bits and bobs. I won't be going over mini-bosses though, as I plan on giving all of the mini-bosses their own episode later on in this playthrough. There's a lot to get through and I have no idea how long this video is going to be, so enough fluffing around, let's get into it, shall we?
It's time to
talk about cards. The card system is quite chunky. There's a bit to it, but it is fairly simple. The tedious thing is remembering to swap to the right card set for each situation you're in, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I'd like to assume you know how to equip and unequip cards, but to assume only makes an ass out of you and me. So these here are your card slots. Click on any card twice to equip it, and click on any card in a card slot to unequip it. Got it? Good. Think of Idleon cards as collector cards, and this panel here as your card folder. You want to collect every card and fill out your folder. In the first video, I mentioned how you could get cards, but you can actually see in the AFK window what your card odds are. For example, if the AFK window says 1 in 2 hours and you AFK for 10 hours, you can expect to get around 5 cards. Keep in mind, the AFK window is just an approximation, so you could get slightly more or slightly less. I feel it's important to mention here, in the first video, I said you could receive skilling cards actively. This is incorrect. You only receive skilling cards from claiming AFK gains. Why do we want to get more than one of any card? Well, that's simple. The cards themselves can be leveled up to increase the bonus that they give. If you click on any card you have unlocked and take a look here, you can see how many more of that particular card is required to level it up. You can also see a few other important things with a card selected. You see the bonus that card gives, some stats related to the mob, and the drops that monster can drop. This isn't something you'll use too often early on, but if you open this filter tab here and click on an item in the drops section of any card, you can stop certain items from dropping. This becomes useful later game when you're killing hundreds of thousands of monsters per hour. There's one other reason we want to level these cards up, but to explain that properly, first we need to open and talk about this Sets tab. Okay, with the Sets tab open, this panel here, we can see the combined effects of all the cards we currently have equipped. At the bottom here, we can see our set bonuses and a couple of arrows that let us scroll between them all. These set bonuses are unlocked and leveled up via hitting certain milestones of card levels. For example, once I hit 26 total levels across all easy resource cards, this set bonus will level up and give a larger bonus. You can only have one set bonus equipped per character and must be equipped through this menu. The last thing to do with cards is just like our talent presets, we can make multiple card presets for different situations. You may want to make a skilling card set for each character's main skill, and you might want to set up both an active and an AFK combat card set so you too can forget to swap between them before logging off. Next up, we have statues. Due to a recent update, statues have become a bit more complicated to explain, so I'm only going to go over the basics here, and when we hit World 4, I'll go over Onyx statues. As you play through Idleon, you'll occasionally come across statues. To first be able to do anything with statues, we need to go and do the quest from this blocky bloke right here. Super simple, just buy this item from the World 1 shop. Once you have done this, you can talk to this fine specimen to deposit statues. There's 2 ways that you can go about depositing statues early on, and which one you choose is entirely up to you. The first way is less tedious and the way that I prefer, though it is less efficient overall. And that is to pick one character and just deposit all statues on that one character. The second way is to deposit all of each type of statue on the character who will get the most benefit. For example, pick the mage you're chopping the most on and deposit all chopping statues on them, all mining statues on your main miner, and all damage statues on your main pusher. The reason for depositing your statues in one of these two ways early on is because once we get to World 2, we can purchase this item from the World 2 shop. Dropping this on our chiseled friend will turn them to gold, which will allow us to purchase the gold tier of each statue, which once purchased will grant its bonus account-wide. Let's go over stamps next. They should be fairly simple, right? Right? Thankfully, stamps are fairly simple and straightforward. Unlocking stamps requires doing the quest from this chunky pig here. You will find stamps in various ways, from killing monsters to completing specific quests or even in the town shops. Once you have a stamp and have completed the piggy's quest, you can then talk to the piggy again with the stamp in your inventory. That will automatically add the stamp to your collection, which is split up into 3 categories: combat, skills, and miscellaneous. You can and should check back regularly on these stamps as you increase your carry capacity and acquire larger sums of money. You can click on any unlocked stamp to level it up, increasing its bonus. Leveling up stamps requires 2 things: money and a specific material at certain intervals. The materials at each interval increase gradually, giving a nice progression curve, so stamps are important all the way through till endgame and beyond. So again, remember to check back on these guys regularly. Okay, we're getting there. We've been over a lot so far, so give yourself a pat on the back. Let's take a quick breather. Here's a cute picture of a puppy. Starsigns are next up on the chopping block. Thankfully, Starsigns are the simplest of the systems we're going to go over today. So to first unlock Starsigns, we need to climb to the tippy top of this tree in World 1. Do the telescopes quest and bada bing, bada boom, Starsigns are now unlocked. Your goal now is to search the maps in Idleon as you continue through the game, keeping an eye out for these star signs. Clicking on one will tell you the requirements to complete that sign, and completing a sign will earn you points. These points can then be used in the constellation interface to purchase new bonuses to link to. Eventually, you'll be able to link to up to 3 of these. These can also be accessed from the quick ref menu once unlocked. With all that out of the way, we are left with the World 1 dungeon. To be honest, dungeons are worthy of their own video, so I'm only going to go over the basics here that will help you out early on and what I personally took advantage of in my playthrough. But if you do want more info on dungeons in general, I highly advise checking out GriffyBit's dungeon guide videos, as they go into a lot more detail than I plan to here, and they're just great videos in general. Okay, so the World 1 dungeon can be thought of as a roguelite experience. You start each run with nothing and gain power through equipping dungeon gear and picking up RNG items. These can both be dropped from mobs or purchased from the acrobatic frog. Your goal here is to break these TP thingies, kill the monsters that spawn, and drop the items from the monsters into the cauldron, which will spawn that wave's boss. In total, there are 4 waves or bosses. The items floating around the top of the cauldron show what items and how many of them are required to spawn that wave's boss. Upon completing the dungeon, you are rewarded with credits and flurbos. We are interested in the flurbos mainly. With these, we can purchase some really good items for the early game. They are these elf twist rings, which give a good amount of defense, and the cedar necklace, which has a good chunk of accuracy. There's also some Star Talent books which are great to grab early on. These are Super Source and Dungeonic Damage. Any leftover points can be spent in this non-dungeon stats panel here. These are, as the title states, bonuses that affect your character outside of the dungeon minigame. Alright, there isn't a lot to go through in the miscellaneous section, just a few quick mentions. First off, boss keys. You will want to push all of your characters to the boss map eventually and complete the quest to collect dog bones. Completing this quest on additional characters increases how many keys you can claim per day, up to a maximum of 10 once you have unlocked all 10 character slots and completed the quest on them. This NPC will store keys for up to 3 days, so you don't have to check back on it every day, but you will start to miss out on any additional keys once 3 days have passed since the last time you claimed, so keep that in mind. Next up is the Colosseum. This is located in the Frogs map in the top left-hand corner. We first have to do the quest from this scrub gladiator here, which grants us 1 access ticket per day. Much like boss keys, these will stack for up to 3 days, but then you will start losing any additional tickets each day you forget to claim them. The Colosseum is a simple round-based high-score minigame. Your goal is to spawn rounds, defeat the monsters, and not die. At the end, you're rewarded with chests depending on how well you did. This is another source of boss keys if you get lucky. I completely forgot to mention bribes in the stamp section, and I didn't pick up on it until editing, so I'm going to throw those in here. These bribes are found in the stamp interface in the top right hand corner. Purchasing these should be a fairly high priority as you start earning more and more money from farming monsters. There are some really strong bonuses that come from bribes, like being able to equip 2 big bubbles at once, but more on those next episode. Last up, we have the Antique Eye. This item here is an important item that you can purchase 1 of daily, and you should begin to stockpile these as soon as you can justify the cost of them. These eyes are used in a World 2 recipe that crafts a key of sorts, which allows you to fight the King Dupe mini-boss, which I'll be going into mini-bosses in a lot more detail in a later video. I think we have covered all of the important systems in World 1 that we need to pay attention to for now, and should be fairly geared up to tackle World 2. In the next episode, we will be diving headfirst into World 2, which is a different beast altogether, so there may be a little bit more of a gap between videos as I'm expecting that one to be a monster to break down. If you are finding my content enjoyable or helpful, please consider liking and subscribing. It's a small click for you, but it's absolutely massive for me, and I do really appreciate it. You can also catch this playthrough live on Twitch, the link will be in the description, but with all that being said, as always, I've been Titanic Llama, you've been watching a video, and I'm out. Peace.